finished.
It's an appropriate title. Yeah. So one of the things that I've been thinking about is the danger of success making you soft. Mm-hmm. And this must be something that you've battled with over the last few years.
Right.
More money, more attention, more fame, more free things if you wanted, more opportunities to go places and do stuff with people.
Right.
How have you dealt with this battle of success not making you soft?
You have to cap it. You have to learn to cap success. So what I do is, like right now, I don't like doing podcasts. There's a lot of things I don't do that I have to do now to get the message out there to help people out. And what I mean by capping success, I believe everybody should live their life. So everything that someone says in life, take it with a grain of salt. Take what they give and don't be like, oh, David Goggins said this or whoever said this. No, do not take what I say and do exactly what I say. So for me, what makes me who I am, because my mission is very different than yours or anybody else's. I have to go into a situation knowing, okay, I'm a guy who wants to make people better. For people to get better, I have to continuously get better myself. For me to do that, I can't just say, oh, I have this resume. The resume is there forever. I'm good. I have to cap my success because for me to help people out, I can't just say I did it once and I'm good. I have to continue to reinvent the wheel of the mind and figure out more and more ways for you to pull. Because if I have a cookie cutter message, it may hit 5 people out of 25. You just failed. My message needs to be in a way where I can hit all 25 people. It needs to be broad enough to where all 25 people may not like the message, but they're getting something from it. And that is evolution. You must continue to evolve. And you don't evolve, for me, in my job, unless I cap myself somewhere and say, okay, you made this much money, get back to fucking work. It's time to get back to work. Stop hearing yourself talk. Get off the podcast. Don't be on social media too much. Cut out all the fucking noise. Get back to the fucking mental lab, because that's where the knowledge came from. So for me, I must cap myself so I can come back with better, more unique knowledge versus all that cookie cutter knowledge that's out there. That's why people buy the books I have, because it's not cookie cutter. It's real knowledge.
The other thing now is, when you first started, you were a lone ranger.
Right.
Nobody really knew who you were outside of some obscure endurance places and half-heard truths of these weird myths.
Right.
But now you've got people's expectations layered on top as well. Mm-hmm. So not only have you got to deal with success potentially making you soft, so you've got to cap that. You've got to say no to more money and opportunities and cool people.
Right.
You've also got this extra layer of expectation that's coming through from other people too. And I think that you talk about trained humility in the new book too. I've got to presume that that fits into this equation.
Right. It fits in big time. And that's one big reason why I do fight fire. Because all the knowledge for myself comes from that place. It doesn't come from the place of success. My knowledge does not come from the place of, because for me, I built Goggins from the ground up. I was born David Goggins. David Goggins wasn't good enough. He was a scared, bullied, abused kid who struggled in life. And that kid, whenever something got tough, no matter how hard I trained, no matter how ready I was, whenever something got tough for me, David Goggins, the real David Goggins, would come out and he would quit. So I realized this over a period of time. So I had to build Goggins. And in that process, I have to go back to that mental lab. And that mental lab is at scratch. That mental lab isn't that trained humility. And so that's where I get better. I get better when I'm digging holes in the ground, when I'm waking up early knowing I don't have to do these things. That's where I get better.
So it's important to stay hungry.
It's important to stay hungry, but it's important more to stay humble within that hunger. So while you're hungry, a lot of people are hungry, but humility is everything.
What was that story about William Crawford, the janitor?
Yeah. So this guy won the Medal of Honor. So he won the Medal of Honor, and which is the highest award in the military. And this guy went to the Air Force Academy, and he was a janitor. And no one knew who the fuck this man was. he had the highest award in all the military for heroics, saving lives, putting his life on the line. Could have been killed. And he is now basically, cleaning shitters for young kids. And we can all imagine how that probably went. There's probably some, little bit of taunting here and there. And he just sat there and cleaned the shitter. So that's why he's in my trained humility part, because for this man to be at the level he was and have that kind of humility to go, I'm a Medal of Honor winner, but I'm going to put that in my closet, and I'm going to pick up my broom and dustpan, and I'm going to pick up, this rag and clean this shit for these young men. That right there is amazing for me, man. That's where you grow. That's growth, huge growth. And also it shows that he was doing his job. He was a servant. He didn't look at himself any better than anybody else. And the second you do that, you totally lost. You cannot look at yourself like people with me even. I always look at people. I know where you are. I know where, because I've been there. That's why I help so many people out. I've never been above you. I've always pretty much been beneath you, and that's where my knowledge came from. So I know how to reach those people who are in the dungeon, because I've been there so many times.
Speaking of getting too soft, did you see that there was a news story that came out recently about the treatment of SEALs during their selection process? Do you see this?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, they were getting sprayed with tear gas whilst they were on the ground, and they were made to sing happy birthday so that they couldn't hold their breath while it was happening. Right. And there was a quote from this guy. I think this type of training is really senseless, said Sven Hjort, a Duke University associate professor who studies tear gas and its effects. It looks more like a form of hazing.
Right. I see all that. Trust me. Like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I understand that guy. I understand exactly where you're coming from. That is your personal opinion, and I totally get that. But there's very few people in this world who want to do a job like that. And it takes a different kind of mindset. Is it tear gas appropriate? I don't know. How hard that training is, I don't expect anybody to understand it, but 1%. But the loud voices of this world are the 99% who don't understand exactly what you have to do. That's why when I speak and you don't understand me, it's probably a good thing, because that probably means I'm in an area of life that you're not in, which is fine. That's why I don't judge people. And this guy right here judging that, unless you've been there and done that, and you really can't speak about it unless you're in those situations that are so hard that takes a special human being to get through them.
I think it's the same kind of feeling that I get when I heard about Elon Musk telling the employees at Twitter, we're going to ask you to work harder than you've ever worked in your life.
Yeah.
This is a place, Twitter is now a company where people can go if they want to be in the top 0.0001% of hardworking programmers and software developers on the planet.
That's right.
And everybody was up in arms. This is unbelievable. We're going back to this old version of capitalism where the worker is being abused and used and thrown away. What they didn't account for is that there is a non-insignificant cohort of people for whom that's their dream.
That's right.
People who want to be able to get up on a morning, having gone to bed 4 hours before, and can contribute to some sort of progress that they think, this is what I'm here for.
Yep.
And it's the same with the SEALs. If you're not the sort of person that is built to go through selection, it's like speaking a different language.
That's it. And that's why I don't try to convince people otherwise. I understand that why you're confused. I understand why you say things like that. I'm not saying anything bad about that. I understand it. But also, what you don't understand, what you fail to understand, is the other side, that you need people like that. You need the Elon Musks. You need the David Goggins. You need some of these Navy SEALs, some of these other people. You need those people. And they forget that. And it takes a very, very unique person and unique mind to do some of these jobs that are necessary in this world.
Well, especially when we're thinking about someone going to war.
Right.
Like, do you want your armed forces to be underprepared for the battlefield because you didn't want to be too mean to them in advance?
That's the problem. That's the problem. And that's a problem that I've always had. Is that right there. Is that with even some of the most trained people in the world fall back on that. It's easy to talk about. Like I said, when you go through it once, it's a perishable skill. Hardness, mental hardening, mental toughness, it's a perishable skill. Just because you went through some training once and you got through it doesn't mean it lasts fucking forever. And that's where most people hated me in my life, because I realized that. You don't just say, oh, I got it, I'm checked off, I'm good for the rest of my life. That's why you have recall. You recall on fucking everything. And you definitely must recall when it comes to the mind. That is one of the biggest requalifications you must have. And when you're at that level, you got to recall every fucking day, not once a year.
One of the other things that you did to stop yourself from getting soft was running the Moab 240.
Yep.
Talk me through that experience.
So I hadn't run a 100-mile race, and I think it was about 6 years. I had, some heart surgeries. I had maybe some questioning in my mind about, I call it part-time savage. I started kind of going through this. I started getting, a little bit injuries, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Things that back in the day never slowed me down. So when I got my head out of my ass and realized that, hey, we have more left, we can still push harder, we're not there yet. I realized, talking to a guy named Cameron Haynes, who did this race, 240-mile race. And I go, is this the new level? Is this the new push? So when I decided to do that race, it was in the back of my mind like, man, I've really become an expert at running 100-mile races. So for me, this was the new level, the 200+ mile race. And what was so amazing about that, as you probably read in the book, I had a hard time the first time doing it. I came back and did better. But what's amazing about the human mind is that it becomes your new norm. Like to think that I can run 200 miles, 240 miles, and that becomes like running 50. I never thought that was possible. This is why I'm always pushing that limit, because I know that within pushing these limits, there's always more. So I end up doing almost like back-to-back 200-mile runs. When the 200-mile race, 240-mile race was hard at once, it became something that was very easy after I figured it out. So that's why that happened.
Well, you got lost on the first one.
Oh, yeah.
And then you went to bed and woke up halfway through the night and nudged Kish and said, how long have we got left until the end of the race? But because you hadn't completed the official route, you couldn't go across the official finish line. Yeah. So you ring your race pacers, some of whom had gone home. Yep. What do you think? It's 3 a.m. and you're ringing people saying, that race that we just finished because of health problems, right, can we go back and finish it?
So the crazy thing about that, in that spot, so I got lost the first time. I got seriously sick, was off course. So basically I bed down about 12 hours. Then I got back in the race. So I was still part of the official race now. Okay. So the first time I got lost, I got sick, got lost, got back in the race after 12 hours of being out of the race. So now I get to about 200 and some odd miles and I'm sick as hell. Can't breathe, high altitude pulmonary edema, totally jacked up. And now the doctor tells me, if you get off course now and you go to the doctor, you won't be able to come back and finish the race. So I had to make a call. Like, you know what? I'm pretty messed up, got off. So this is where you're talking about. I'm literally laying in bed and I'm feeling better. And I thought, honestly, I swear to God, I thought that someone was speaking to me. I thought it was Jennifer. It was like, you're not done yet, motherfucker. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? It was actually probably my subconscious saying, get your ass back out there. So I wake Jennifer up. I'm like, hey, how much time do we have until the cutoff? I know that I'm already, DNF'd. So no matter what happens here, I'm not going to be an official finisher of this race.
This isn't for glory.
No. This is now for the fact that you can. So either you can sit here and not and think about that for a whole year until you come back here and do this, or you can go out there for yourself and take some kind of pride in knowing that you could and you did. So basically, I wake her up, how much time left? She goes something like, I don't know what it was. What'd you say what time was? Like, whatever. And half my crew had left. And there was 2 people there. I woke them up. They were getting ready to get on a plane. I said, look, can you guys help me out? I have 40 miles to go. I'm going to have Jennifer drop me back off at the spot where I left. Then I'm going to finish this fucking race. And I couldn't cross the finish line because I wasn't an official finisher. So I ended up finishing on a road by a telephone pole, and that was my official finish. It ended up being like 255 miles. But it's one of the best races of all time because we're going through it fast. But all the fucking times that I was like, I'm not going back. And I went back. I'm not going back. And I went back. I'm not going back. And I went back. It showed me even more of what we have as humans, if we're willing to go there and we're willing to push that extra step. And like I say, I always tell people, a lot of people, man, how do you do what you do? At the end of the day, I ask myself one question: can I take one more step? And usually the answer is yes. So if you can answer that question and not take another step, that is real failure. That is real quitting. So a lot of people can take one more step, but they choose not to. I don't know if you can take 2 steps. You got to answer that question after you take the first step. But I can always take one more step. So if I choose not to, that's on me. And I got to live with that.
Does that link in with the 1 second decision?
Yes. So the 1 second decision is I had to live through that 1 second decision several times during this race. So this race took me 100 and some hours. Okay. And this is what people don't get. For you to finish that race, even though I DNF'd, I still finished in the time. So there's a lot of pride in that. If you're 100 and some odd hours, let me use Hell Week. This is a perfect example. Hell Week's 130 hours. And 130 hours is a lot of seconds. A lot of fucking seconds. And if you lose, let's say you win every second but one, you lost. It only takes 1 second for you to lose the whole thing. So the 1 second decision is just that. You're in a situation where life is sucking. Let's say you're in extreme cold water and your life is flashing before your eyes. Every time that wave goes over your head, your thought process is, I got to get the fuck out of this water. And you're in Hell Week. And you're hour 1 of 130 fucking hours. It's all fun and games, okay? Because at the beginning of Hell Week, the guns are going off. It's like a pep rally. So you're fucking hyped up. And your boys are linked arms and you're getting sprayed. And it's like a fucking pep rally. The instructors are yelling at you. Bombs are going off. Concussion grenades. Blanks from N60s. Yeah, hoo-yah. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah, motherfucker. Yeah. But then what they do is they shut that shit off. They shut it off. All that hoo-yah, all that hype, it gets real quiet. And they march you out to that surf zone for something called surf torture. And it's that water, that Pacific Ocean is cold as shit. So no more pep rally. You're now in your head. You're linked arms with, your brothers beside you. You don't know if they're going to be there long or not. You don't care. You think about yourself. You lay back and that first wave hits you. Your mind goes straight from hour 2 all the way to hour 130. You can't process 5 days of this shit. You're now in a fuck you, like I gotta get out of here. You're in fight or flight. It's cold. I can't be cold this long. And then this is where that 1 second decision comes in. You forgot every reason why you wanted to be there. You don't care about SEALs. You don't care about any of this shit. You don't care about fighting for your country. You don't care about that gaudy gold trident that they put on your chest. You don't care about any of that shit no more. All you want to do is go back home. You want the warmth. You may want something to eat. You want your girl to hold you. All those things of comfort are there in that 1 second. And this is where people lose. So what I do in that 1 second, because we all think about quitting when shit's hard. But what you have to do in that 1 second is hard to process information during pain, because that pain takes over and you can't think rationally. You're thinking about fight or flight, save yourself. That's not a rational thought. It's not a thought that's going to get you through hard times. Most people fail that 1 second. So what happens, what I do in that 1 second, and there's a bigger process to all this, but in that 1 second, I physically stayed in that water, because if I get out of the water, I quit. So I physically stay in the water, but mentally, I'm on the fucking beach with the fucking instructors. And the instructors, it's cold outside, so they got these parkas on. They got their cup of fucking Joe, and they're warm because they've already been through it. So now it's your turn to go through it. So mentally, I get back with them. I'm still in the water physically, but mentally, I'm back with them. I'm chilling. I got my parka on, and now I'm thinking logically because I'm warm now. Mentally, I'm warm. I've taken that 1 second. Let's not quit yet, Goggins. Let's fucking think about your options. Where are you going to end up if you quit this shit? Where are you going to go? What are you going to say to yourself? Because you know you're going to get warm. The second you get out of this water, you could take a shower and you could be warm. And in 5 days, you could be out. So I start thinking logically. I calm my brain down because your brain just wants to get the fuck out. Ring the bell, put your helmet down, get warm, and then you're really fucked. And these are the things you have to think about in the 1 second decision. So that's what that's all about. It's about gaining control of your mind, putting things back in the proper perspective, and then saying, I really do want to be here. And I'm going to have a bunch of these 1 seconds through this 130-hour journey. And I have to learn to control these, because if I fail one of these 1 seconds, I will not be a SEAL. I will not be a doctor. I will not be a lawyer. I will not be whatever the fuck it is. So that's how important that 1 second decision is. It's all about your mind takes control of you. You have to say, fuck you. I run this motherfucker. And that's what that's all about.
We'll get back to Goggins in 1 minute, but first I need to tell you about Element. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything that you need and nothing that you don't. I've replaced my morning coffee with Element every day for over 3 years now, and I've never looked back. It means I've optimized my hydration, my brain feels better, I'm not getting mental fog, and it's helping me to curb cravings if I'm fasting throughout the day. Even Video Guy Dean uses it. My favorite flavor is the orange. That in a cold glass of water upon waking feels really, really good. It's a science-backed electrolyte ratio of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, which helps me to feel at my absolute best all day. Also, they have a no BS, no questions asked refund policy, so you can buy it and try it for an unlimited amount of time, and if you do not like it, they'll give you your money back, and you don't even need to return the box. That's how confident they are that you love it. Head to drinklmnt.com/modernwisdom to get a free sample pack of all 8 flavors with your first box. That's drinklmnt.com/modernwisdom. Projecting yourself forward to see what are the consequences of failing? Mm-hmm. What are the consequences of stopping?
Yep.
Is about as powerful of a motivation strategy as I can think of, you know? Because what you're doing is you're trying to optimize right now to stop the discomfort.
That's right.
But what you're going to pay for that in is shame and guilt and regret long term.
That's right.
So what you need to be able to do is bundle all of that up that is as yet unfelt, but will last for way, way, way longer. You know, the future is much longer than now.
That's right.
The future is going to extend out up until the day that you die. Mm-hmm. And the now is just for now. And even 130 hours is just 130 hours.
That's right.
And you get to look back. And do you look back with pride and glory? Or do you look back with shame and guilt?
That's it. That's the 1 second. You just summarized it right there. And most people fail those 1 seconds. And then that 1 second leads to 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of fuck. I have people who have been through training with me, Ranger School, SEAL training, Air Force training, and I get calls from them today, and they have great lives. And all they talk about is how they failed in that one moment. And they can't even enjoy their life now because they're now warm. They're now warm. There's no more suffering. There's no more suffering for me either. And we're in the same boat now. But you're suffering. So we're not suffering, but you're thinking about what you could have been. I am exactly what I should have been. And that's where people start to lose it. Because now I realized that in that 1 second. I go through all that. I know how it's going to feel because I failed so many times before. Failure is the ultimate thing, man. I failed so many times before. That's why I don't look at failure anymore as failure. I look at it as my first, second, and third attempt. So that's what that's all about, man.
Well, I mean, you went back to go and do Moab again a second time.